Hey everyone, how you guys doing? So today's video is going to revolve around games that we introduce to new players to get them addicted to gaming. Let's face it, we're all there at some point in time where we're dating somebody or just our spouse in general, but we can't seem to get them into gaming. And well, I mean, that's the whole goal, right? We want to be able to game with the people we like the most. And so these are games that, are great starter games that you can introduce people gently into the gaming, and hopefully then they will become a bit more addicted and, stick around for the long haul. The next thing you know, you're playing Twilight Imperium, right? For 4, 5, 6 hours. So before we get into that, I thought we would take a moment just to introduce my cat. He's down here. I was going to bring him up last time. He just bit me a second ago, and I'm afraid if I pick him up, he's going to bite me again. But regardless, I want to introduce my kitty. Hey, you. Don't bite me. Don't bite me. Be nice. This is my kitty. This is Bruner. Hey, look in the camera. Look in the camera. This is Bruner Stormbreaker. Norris. Hi. He's a good kitty. I adopted him a few months ago, and he gets nothing but fatter by the day. All right, so let's get into the actual video. I thought we could probably first start with talking about games that deal with area control. So one of the games that I know that I introduced to the girl that I'm seeing now to get her actually to start gaming was this one right here, Ticket to Ride. This one to me was a no-brainer. This is a game that deals with area control, and you can try to play this as mean or malicious as you like, or you could try to play, yeah, the cat is the true master of the house, Mark. You're absolutely right. You can play this as mean as you want, but I always recommend that when you're trying to teach new gamers and bring them into wanting to play games with you, you always want to try to go, don't play your best. Try to play gentle with them. Try to get them interested into it. Don't clobber them right off the bat, because when you clobber them right off the bat, then that's going to discourage them from ever wanting to play again. And this is one of those games where you can play it nice or you can play it mean. But it is certainly one of the absolute first games that I would ever introduce to somebody if I wanted to draw them into gaming. Not only is the board absolutely beautiful, but the ability to set, collect, and place your trains out onto the board, complete the routes, be able to get points for that, trying to complete your destination tickets is very rewarding, and it really draws people into gaming, and it makes them, feel proud of what they were able to do. Not only that, this is a game that really, it feels like everybody's got a great chance at winning. Ticket to Ride is easily, hands down, one of the absolute best games that I would recommend to anybody if you're wanting to introduce them into gaming. Number one. Now, if you're wanting to stay into the area control kind of like mechanisms, there are other ones that do this as well, and if you feel like trains and that one's a little bit too boring, you could spice it up with a little bit more of a fantasy. And I think that's where Small World comes in. Now, the only reason I don't necessarily recommend Small World right off the bat is because I do think with the variable powers that it can be a little bit confusing and a little mind-numbing for new players to be able to wrap their minds around. But with that said, I still think that it's an absolute phenomenal game. And like I said, just like with Ticket to Ride, it's absolutely beautiful to look at. And it is really fun whenever you do come up with these combos of the creatures and their abilities to be able to place on the board, but it takes a bit more of a learning curve than Ticket to Ride to be able to actually fully understand this game. So with this one, I would say, yeah, possibly you could introduce this one, but I would almost recommend that you try something else before you dive directly into this. I've seen people suggest this as one of their games that they would introduce to new gamers, and I would say you're going to have to try to play that more close by ear and see, just feel them out to see how they are. But this one still is a viable option that you could go if you feel like that their interest is strong enough. If their interest is too light, you go with this one. If their interest is strong, you go with Small World, because this is very rewarding, very fun, and it's one of those games that, you're coming up with all these different variable powers between all these races, and you're able to try to, create these little combos, and you're always striving for that, ability to try to get the maximized points, obviously. But this is a super fun game. I haven't played it in forever, and it's one that I really need to bust out again. So Once again, let's just stick to the area control because I've always felt that area control is one of the easiest types of games outside of just a deck of cards. Area control is some of the easiest mechanisms to teach somebody. You put your person there, you control that place. And it's kind of an easy concept for people to wrap their minds around. It's a lot easier than worker placement, and it's definitely easier than deck building. There will be no deck building games in this video, and the reason is because I have always failed trying to teach a new gamer a deck builder right off the bat, because deck building is just a weird concept for new gamers to wrap their minds around, and I find I fail too often trying to teach a deck building game, and that's why I felt like, from my own experience, area control is the very first way you want to go. With that said, Through the Desert is another phenomenal game. Now this is a little bit, this has been out forever. In fact, most of the games I'm going to show you guys have been out forever, but it doesn't necessarily mean that this is a game that a lot of people are familiar with. But the concept is that your area control, you're placing out your camels, you're trying to reach the oasis, and you're trying to create these long camel lines, and you score a bunch of points. Now, the only problem with this game is that you got to be careful, because the little camels look like wedding mints. And if you're not careful, you might see your opponent just gobble them all up, and next thing you know, you have to wait for them to, pass them to be able to get your pieces back. Humor, people. Laugh with me. Come on. I'm here all night. But Through the Desert is a great game, and I think it's one of those ones that flies a little bit under the radar that most people would not think about trying to introduce to a new gamer. But it's a very simple concept. The mechanisms are very simple. Place a camel. There you go. Try to reach the oasis. There you go. But at the same time, it still gives them enough decision making to where it can be a little bit difficult for them to just, easily just, drift through the game. They still have to make the decisions, and that's what's fun about it. So this is probably, if I had to try to rank these, this would be the all the area control games that I'm going to list. I would probably say Ticket to Ride is number 1, number 2, Small World number 3, if I had to rate them in that order of difficulty of trying to teach. So. All right, so let's go to another, let's try, let's go to worker placement, because I do think if you start with the correct worker placement games, you can easily get somebody addicted to worker placement. And I've got a couple of them here. I do think that this could be a tie between the two that I'm about to show you, but I think the one that I'm about to show you is probably the number 1 best worker placement game that you could try to start somebody out with. And I understand there could be other ones that could be a little bit better than this one, but I heavily recommend Lords of Waterdeep. Now, I know this game isn't necessarily everybody's cup of tea, and it feels like I'm kind of getting a glare maybe from the window here, so I'm going to pull that blind down some, see if that helps a little. It could be coming from that one too, so I may close that one down too. So, but Lords of Waterdeep is a phenomenal game, and this is one of the first area control games that I ended up teaching Amanda as well. And we played this thing nonstop. She would not stop playing this game, and I couldn't even progress to any other games because we would literally play this every time she had came over. Very addicting, very easy to understand. And if you're not super familiar, oh, blasphemy! I'm going to spin the game over. Okay. Now I got pieces all over inside my box. But if you're not familiar, basically, you represent a guild, and you're collecting the 4 types of characters, which are basically wizards. You'll have fighters, you'll have rogues, you'll have clerics, and you're going to use those to complete quests. And these are the little quest cards, and whenever you have enough of them, plus maybe possibly money, then you get to turn that quest in, and you just get the victory points. Or some of them even give you other types of abilities. Yeah, I've got both the expansions for this one, Mark. I've got I love this one, and we play with the expansions too. I do take the mandatory quest. That is a good point there, Daniel. Let me close out this back window real fast, okay? Let me pull this blind down, because you made a good point, Daniel. Daniel said, do I take out the mandatory quests? And I do. I do. I take out, I'm about to blind you, sorry. I do take out the mandatory quests. And the reason I do is because the mandatory quests can kind of become malicious and mean. And so when you're trying to teach a new gamer and you're trying to bring them in, the last thing you want to do is you don't want to pound on them and you don't want to like go heavy. And I think with the mandatory quests that they become something obnoxious, and that you don't want to be obnoxious when you're trying to get people to want to play games with you. You want them to have fun. And mandatory quests are not fun. So yes, I do. In fact, I never had thought about taking out the mandatory quests until my friend Bill. He was the one who first showed me that you should take them out because him and his wife, they hate them. So ever since I played with him and we took them out, I've never played with mandatory quests again. I just, and I don't miss them. You don't miss them at all. Okay, Stone Age. This is the other worker placement game, and this is probably my absolute favorite worker placement game. Just so you know, at one point in time, I was ranked number 2 on Board Game Arena on this game, so I will slaughter you if you want to ever play with me on Board Game Arena. You could talk to Tim Bresnan from Dad vs. Daughter. He's still licking his wounds. But this is a fantastic game, and this is a slight upgrade, and I mean just a slight, from Lords of Waterdeep. So if you're going to start worker placement, maybe start with Lords of Waterdeep and then go into Stone Age. But once again, this is all about filling out, the person. What are they kind of into, more so. You don't want to force a theme on them that they're not going to enjoy. You want them to be able to enjoy the experience. That's what gaming's all about, right? And Stone Age to me is one of those games that really just, it appeals to a variety of people. I mean, who doesn't love the Stone Age? I mean, spears, loincloths, woolly mammoths back there that you get to hunt, and you get to live in a hut, and then you get to breed in the hut. That's but this is a great game. It like with all these games that I'm pretty much showing you, they are so beautiful with the board, and that's so important whenever you're teaching a new gamer to try to the aesthetics. They have to see those. They have to see that the visual illustrations, that everything needs to be beautiful and pop out to them, because that's going to draw them into yes, the Love Shack mark. That's going to draw them into the game just as much as the actual mechanisms. But this one can be a little bit more complicated because really, so the thing about this one is that whenever you're playing, because I'm a very experienced gamer at Stone Age, and so whenever I'm trying to teach somebody, I always tell them ahead of time that, look, this is one of those games that I try to tell you, focus on the cards that are down here. If you don't get a lot of them cards, because these end game cards, they stack up huge for victory points, then you're probably going to lose miserably. Now, the first time we play, people don't pay attention to that, and then I try to go easy, but I'll be honest, I'm stupid good at that game. And so, but the good part is that it still ended up being a favorite in this house, and we still play it quite often. So those are my 2 worker placement games that I decided to select. And what we're going to do is we are going to go to more of a party game. So for party games, I'm not a big party game fan, okay? So I find them pretty obnoxious for the most part. But there are a few of them that I do think stand out, and they're pretty, well, fantastic, aren't they? And this is probably one of the best ones. And you can't go wrong with any of the code names. You have codename pictures. Well, the original was just the words. I didn't ever do as well with the words because words are hard. But I did love the codename pictures because I'm more of a visual person, and I was able to pick up on the pictures a lot better than the words. And then now they come out with Harry Potter. They've got the Disney, which I have here. I've got the pictures and I've got the Disney. But this is one of those ones that it's super duper easy to teach. And then once you teach it, people are just become addicted to it, and they want to learn more games, because eventually they will get tired of this one, but then they're like, what you got next? What else you got, bro? Well, that's when you can introduce them to other style of games. But this is a phenomenal introductory game that you can try to, introduce to somebody that's light and it's fun. And obviously it's going to be one of those ones that with this one here, it's going to appeal more to kids, but that's when you go with possibly the regular code names, pictures, or even words for the more adult version. I guess, I don't know. I mean, I'm a big stupid kid, so I would love the Disney anyway. So what are you gonna do? So let's go into something that's more of like a drafting style. Now, the first one I'm going to show you is not necessarily the first one that I would suggest that you use to introduce to new gamers, but I'm going to show it anyways because I feel like I said, with with deck building, I find that I have failed too many times trying to teach deck building. Okay, so I never include deck building early on into trying to teach a new gamer or bring a new gamer into an addict. But drafting can be a very difficult one as well. Hey Daniel, we're about 10 minutes in, bud. You're not that late. But drafting can be very difficult as well. Okay. And even though I think this is a fantastic game, and for us gamers, we don't necessarily think that this is a difficult game to wrap our minds around. And I think that's the thing that we have to look here. The key word is that we have so much experience. We have years and years and years of experience of playing games that we sometimes forget just how difficult it was to wrap your mind around these mechanisms, these new ideas. So Seven Wonders to me is a phenomenal drafting game. And when you do introduce this one, I recommend just start with the base set. Don't introduce any expansions, just start with the base set and let the person get a feel for what they're doing. Because what I like about this one is that not only are you drafting, but you're tableau building as well. So it's knocking out two birds with one stone and trying to help people get experience for gaming. But this one at the same time can be difficult because of the tableau building. The drafting, people can wrap their minds around that fast. I've not had a problem with people with drafting. It's the tableau building is where you can start running into roadblocks. And that's what this one has. It's not just that, hey, well, I built this, so therefore now I've got the resources I need to be able to build that. It's the, oh, well, I've got this, and now I can build that for free that people seem to have a struggle with. But this one here is still one that I recommend as an introductory game that you can teach people to try to get them addicted into the gaming. And if you're not familiar with Seven Wonders, I mean, it's basically you're getting these cards, they represent buildings, and you're going to place them down. And then some are resources, some are going to be worth victory points, some are military. And that's the other part about this game is the military. Some people can be turned off by that thinking, well, it's a little mean, you know, I don't want military involved, you know. So you have to take this one with a grain of salt, even though I absolutely love the game and I've played the game. I played two-player a few times, Daniel. It works okay, but if I'm going to play Seven Wonders two-player, just like my last video, I'm going to play Seven Wonders dual. I think that one does it phenomenal. So I don't play this one two-player anymore. If I'm going to play two-player, I'll play the dual instead. So the next game that I'm about to introduce is the game that I would recommend if you're going to go to drafting. And this is a little bit different idea, but it's Azul. Azul is the #1 game that I would recommend to new players when it comes to trying to teach them the drafting mechanisms. Because this game, in my opinion, even though it's not necessarily the prettiest game, and that can be sometimes like a turnoff to new players, it's still a game that is very sound, and people really do enjoy building their own little, like, you know, wall over here, their tile wall. And once they start wrapping their minds around the mechanisms, it gets to be one of those processes where they start understanding the strategy of trying to stuff your opponent with too many tiles so that they all fall to the floor and they take a bunch of negative points. But Azul, to me, is a fantastic game to introduce to new gamers because it's got very simple mechanisms that you can teach. Excuse me. The only struggle that you're going to have with Azul is trying to help people wrap their minds around the scoring. Scoring, for some reason, is a very difficult process for some people to be able to get their minds wrapped around when it comes to Azul. But regardless, once they do understand it, it clicks and it is wonderful. Okay, I am not new and I love pretty games and I'm very much into the art. So let's go with... Let's go with set collector tableau building. So I've got the two here actually. Well, the two here. So Splendor, it does come with the expansion, which is the cities expansion. But Splendor to me is one of those games that's super easy to teach. It teaches them set collecting, so they kind of know based upon the tile. And it also teaches, you should pump iron around, beefcake, beefcake. It teaches them set collecting, but it also teaches them tableau building. So this is kind of a great introductory game to help them understand tableau building before you would even go into the seven wonders, because then they have an idea of kind of what tableau building is. And then once you say, well, you're tableau building, now they can go into that with a better understanding. Oh, this helps me build that. Oh, I built this, and that helps me, get to this level. Okay. But Splendor is an easier version of the Seven Wonders with the tableau building. But what its strong point is the set collecting, which is, in my opinion, where you're trying to get the sets of them to be able to try to claim the nobles, or if you're using the expansions, even possibly the cities. Splendor is a great game, and it's beautiful to look at, but it's a very simple. And in fact, I'll tell you what. Give me a second. I actually have the mat, and I recommend if you play, get the mat. Every time I get on a live cast, I always run away from the camera for a little bit. So I always remember, hey, I want to grab that too. But they do. Well, this is the wrong one. Well, hang on. I've been getting into buying mats lately. So there's a cool mat that you can buy, and that just brings it out and makes it really pretty, and you can really set it up all nice and make it look real cool. But Splendor is a great game to introduce to new gamers, and it's one of those ones that just so simple to teach. And once people wrap their minds around it, man, you play that game so much. It's so much fun. That pretty much. Let me see. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 9. And I said I was only going to do 10. But I lied, because I've got a couple of honorable mentions as well, okay? So, let's go. Zularedo. Have you guys ever played Zularedo? You need the expansion for Splendor, William? The expansion for Splendor, to me, is a must, because I don't like playing without it anymore. The Orient is probably the best part of that expansion. It introduces so much extra stuff. It's so much fun. Anyways, back to this. Zularedo. Zularedo is one of those games that's been out forever. And what this one is really good about, it's once again going into that, you should play Zularedo if you get a chance. This is, once again, a set collecting style game, okay? Now, what this is about is you're trying to create, you have these enclosures. And what you're going to be doing is this is a drafting set collect, because you're going to be drafting the cars, and then you're going to be taking the animals and you're going to be placing them in these little enclosures. See, they're all kind of pinned off here. So the monkeys, you have the elephants, the zebras, the camels. You're going to be setting up concession stands for extra victory points, and then you could put expansion boards on the sides here too to be able to expand your board out if you want to get extra enclosures. And if you fill it up, you're going to get, obviously you want to try to fill them up, because that gives you a lot of victory points. Yeah, pick up the mat if you can, Daniel. It's definitely worth it. It's only like $20, totally worth it. But you want to try to fill up these enclosures. The other thing too is just when you're dealing with games like Agricola, or even like All Creatures Big and Small, if you get a male and a female version of the same type of animal in the same pen, which you can't mix the pens, obviously, but regardless, then they'll breed and they'll make babies. And it's really fun. You can move the animals around by spending money, but it's really fun because you're kind of pressing your luck, because these are called trucks, and then you place the tiles on here, which are the animals. And basically you're trying to either pull an animal out of the bag and place it on a truck, or you take a truck. And it's one of those games that's really kind of you don't want to wait too long. If there's an animal you need, man, you just got to grab it. But at the same time, you want to get as many animals as you can. But at the same time, if you don't have enough space to be able to store the animal in the pens, then you could be, taking negative points at the end of the game. Because you got to move them animals. But this is a super easy game to teach. It's very colorful. It's fun. Everybody likes, zoo type kind of experiences, with the animals and stuff. And it's one of those ones that, like I said, it's really easy to teach, and people really easily wrap their minds around this and have a good time with it. So I'm not sure exactly how I would label this one, but Takenoko, what would you guys call this one? This would probably be kind of like a, I don't know, I guess just action selection style of game. But the reason why I choose Takenoko is because it is so absolutely beautiful to look at that it just draws people in, because I'm really big on the games that when I want to try to introduce to new gamers, that they need to be beautiful looking games. And yeah, it is. It's very simple and cute. And this one absolutely does it. You got the cute little fat panda. You got the gardener over here who's like, he don't know what's all happening. Um, yeah, okay, it is. It's an absolutely fun game. I remember teaching this to my son when he was only like 8 years old, and he just picked up on it and had a great time. It's fun building the little bamboo shafts here. Um, um, I haven't played Aquaretto yet. I'd like to try that one sometime, Eric. But this one's really fun because you can move the panda around. The panda eats the bamboo. The gardener's trying to grow the bamboo. And then, great game. My son gets a bit screwed with the scoring. Always has extra in the barn. Yeah, with the Zularetto. Yeah, yeah. Um, and you're either trying to grow the map and try to make patterns, or you're trying to grow the bamboo, or you're trying to eat the bamboo, and then you're going to score victory points based upon the card that you have. Like this card here is you want to eat certain types of bamboo. This one here, you want to grow certain types of bamboo. This one here, you want to make certain patterns on the board, and they have to be the correct colors, but they also need to be irrigated as well, and that's important. So this is a great game. Now this one also has an expansion. It's got babies. It's got a mama panda, and whenever the mama panda and the daddy panda meet up on the board, they make babies. And I do recommend that if you pick this game up, pick that expansion up as well, because what I like about it is it doesn't necessarily add too much extra into the game, but it certainly adds enough to it that it, makes it fun, just a little something different. But that's the mama panda. Isn't she cute? And then the babies that they make are actually just tiles. I've got them like in each one of their little bags, but they're basically just these round discs here. But then they give you abilities, whenever you make the babies. Babies make abilities. But I like this one an awful lot. And like I said, it's one of those easily teachable ones that I've had a lot of success with this one, teaching new gamers early on. All right, so I said it'd be 10. Like I said, I lied. I've already been at 11. And let's just introduce one more, right? So this will be the last one. Takedo, sorry about that. I'm stuck on Takenoko. That's so easy to get these two mixed up. But Takedo. Takedo is, did you guys notice that I didn't even realize that. I have 1, 2, 3 games by Antoine Baza design. The dude designs phenomenal games for entry-level gamers and experience too, because this is one that I had a fantastic. Hey Eric, I had a horrible time with Machikoro. That's why I don't introduce that one to anyone. I'm sorry. But Takedo is fun, and because it's one of those easy ones. And basically you're just taking a trip across Japan. You start at one end and you work your way to the other end. You're trying to set, collect, and get the murals, by stopping at certain places. There's 3 different types of murals that you can collect: a green, a blue, or a white. And you have to eat. And then there's different types of meals that you can have. You're stopping at the shrines to donate coins. You're bathing with monkeys, possibly, which everybody wants to bathe with the monkey, right? And it is worth more points to bathe with the monkey. And there's other things you do. For some reason, what else do you do? The hot springs. Oh, you just go to the bank. I pretty much covered it all. But it's a lot of fun, and basically as you work your way from one end to the other, you're stopping at all these. Oh, you could shop. I'm sorry, you can shop. But the gist is that you want to have the best experience, than anybody else on the table. And the way you do that is obviously tracking by victory points based upon what you bought or what you saw. And my wife says Stone Age should be on the list. Eric, I introduced Stone Age. It's right there. You didn't. Maybe you must have been late to the cafe. It's right there. Stone Age. Absolutely. You got to have Stone Age on there, brother. But this is a fantastic game. Don't overlook this one either. So that's pretty much it of any... That's all right, Eric. That's pretty much it of all the games that, I just, once again want to repeat. I think that thanks, Daniel. I appreciate it. I think the most important thing is whenever we're trying to introduce new people, and I am so blessed with the game group that I have here, is that, we are so welcoming to new players. And it can be so intimidating, being somebody new, meeting all new people, and playing games with mechanisms that aren't Clue or Sorry or Monopoly. It's so different, some of these things that we play, and we sometimes forget about that. And that's why I think I'm so blessed with my game group, because we really do try hard when it comes to new people, introducing them and being welcoming. And whenever they don't understand something, we always try to make sure that they don't feel dumb about not understanding it, because we've all been there. And I think that's the key. Patience is the number one thing here. Yeah, Kate here, saw you streaming and was glad to see you back. We missed your honest reviews. Oh, thanks, Kate. Appreciate it. But that's the key. Welcoming, inviting, just make people feel comfortable, and that's how we get new gamers to the table. So, all right, guys. Anything? That's about 30 minutes, 31 minutes. I think that's pretty much going to wrap this one up. If you guys got a topic for the next video, shoot me a comment. By the way, I loved your playthrough of Rise of the Rune Lords. I watched them all a few nights ago. Hey, yeah, that's been a while back. That's a throwback. Thanks, man. I had a lot of fun with that one back in the day. I don't play it much at all anymore, and I never did actually finish that final session or scenario. I kind of wish I did, but yeah, I don't know. I'll probably never go back to it either. I've still got it at the house. It's just sitting there on the shelf. Yeah, good times, man. That was a great game. So if you guys have a topic or anything you'd like to talk about for the next video, I kind of already got something in my mind that I might talk about. Hope I maybe bump into some of you guys at Gen Con, and gals, obviously. When I say guys, I include everybody, just so you know. It's just one of those things that come out. But I hope I see some of you guys at Gen Con, and if I do, be sure to come up, say hi. And no, I haven't tried the Thunderstone Quest, not yet. And I'm going to have stuff I'm going to be handing out at the convention for everyone that does come up and say hi. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I look forward to talking to you the next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. All right, let's stop. Boop. Yes, I want to stop.